Hey, fun fans, welcome back. Coming up on this week of FRC Roundup, we're going to be taking a brief look at Team Update 19 and reviewing the updated timeout rule. We will then be discussing FMS issues that we've seen over the past 5 weeks, including the double red card that happened at the Las Vegas Regional this weekend, and a debate about whether First needs to increase the cargo threshold for the district championship and the championships. All of this and more coming up on Season 1, Episode 5 of FRC Roundup.
Your destination for First content, updates, and gaming.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now is supported by Stryker Careers. If you are a college student or recent graduate looking for an incredible internship, take a look at Stryker. Stryker provides a housing stipend, great pay, and an opportunity to work with state-of-the-art medical technology equipment. Discover why so many First alumni are coming to Stryker for their internship or career at careers.stryker.com.
All right, welcome to episode 5. If you have not caught our show previously, this is a new show this year that will continue to be following FRC Recap on Monday nights. And we'll take a look at the overall previous week and highlight some discussion points about events, strategy, or really anything that may have correlated with the previous week. If you, the fun community, think that there is a topic that we should discuss on FRC Roundup, please feel free to ping me on the fun Discord, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at it. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Nick Mathis, and I am currently in the 1st Michigan region and was previously with Team 4130.
And I'm Connor McBride, mentor for Team 166 Chop Shop and game announcer in the New England District. Our guest tonight is fun host Tauseef, who is an alumni of 5431 Titan Robotics from Texas. Tauseef, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's been a while since week 1, right? So excited to be back.
Solid inaugural show that we had. Welcome back. Thanks for coming on. But
Anytime.
we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna our first topic tonight is gonna be taking a quick look at Team Update 19. If you didn't get to see it last week, this was the first answer to our battle cry for the timeout issues that we've seen over the previous couple weeks. And I know that a lot of the people weren't super satisfied with the main outcome of this and just felt that it was kind of a band-aid. But I want to provide a little bit of a personal experience that I had this past weekend at the Macomb Community College event with Tito, who was our head ref. If you're from Michigan, you are familiar with Tito. But this is the first event that I have ever been at where they have actually handed out a printout of how the timeout works and the full timeline. I also wanted to highlight that I think the part where they added about how the window does not start until every robot has left the field. I think that was an extremely important step in the right direction. Tito as a 4130 had the opportunity to be an alliance captain, and he pretty much was like, as long as you're reasonable, we're not shutting the gates on anybody. It goes against the mission here, and I think this is a step in the right direction. I am in the crowd that feels like it's sort of a band-aid, and it still does not completely satisfy what the issue is here. But that's kind of my thoughts on it, and we'll go from there. But Tauseef, overall thoughts?
Yeah, so when I saw this, I was a bit happy. Of course, most of us would like to have 12 minutes instead of just an extra 2, like a total of 12. But overall, it's actually much nicer to have extra time, and I liked how the timeout starts when all the robots are off the field as well. It gives teams more times to fix anything, and because previously when the timeout starts right at the end of the match, you still have to take the robot off the field. But now that's dealt with. Just glad it's beneficial for teams and just judges as well to get ready for the next match as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think one thing important too is that we actually we as in 4130 we had to call a timeout this past weekend for one of our alliance members, and I know 2 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but I've been so used for the past 10 years having a 6-minute timeout that those 2 minutes felt like forever.
Yeah.
That extra time was. So I know it's appreciative of the majority of the community, and I know 8 minutes is still not an ideal time, and if there's a major break, that there's going to be an issue. But Connor, let's throw it over to you, get some thoughts from you.
Yeah, so I know you were mentioning about having the printed handout of this being like the first time that you've seen it. So this was actually, I believe it was part of the team update, or at least in
Okay.
the most recent blog post from Frank, which was really nice to see. And I think it was really nice for a lot of teams to be able to receive that, because we are in the we're kind of in a minority group of people that are actively reading these team updates and constantly being engaged with the community. So there's going to be a lot of teams at your local events, like any qualifying district events or regionals, that aren't as up to date as we are. So being able to get that is really nice for them, because I know some teams, like I've always heard, like, in prior years, it's like, oh, we didn't know like what this game element was, so we didn't do anything about it, or like, or for example, like robot perimeters being like too large. It's like because they're not reading everything. I think this is really nice, really helpful for teams that aren't as engaged as us. The extra 2 minutes is kind of nice, and it's more of a band-aid than really solving the overall issue. I know that extra 2 minutes helped us between our first and second quarterfinal match this past week diagnose a CAN bus issue and be able to correct that. But it certainly didn't help out one of our alliance partners entirely. Um, and I think what a lot of the discussion on Chief Delphi, of people just like, all right, don't leave the field, stay on the field, because they can't close the gate on you. That has definitely started to play a lot into factor into some events that have happened this week. I know that happened with the event that I was at Pease in New Hampshire. It can still definitely be better, but it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I also want to give a quick shout out to the thread that Alan Gregory put together on Chief about how to possibly extend that timeout without directly causing an issue, and gave a couple ways that you could do that. But Tyler, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just two really quick things. So one of the other things in Frank's blog post was having a member of the drive team down for alliance selections to meet with the
Yeah,
captain.
that's
So at the
huge.
Las Vegas regional,
Hmm.
what we did is the top 15 teams. If the member that was down there for alliance selection was not on the drive team, we allowed a second member to come down. However, talk about the miscommunication thing. The first couple teams, which we bring out 8th seed first, right? So it's the lower ranked teams, tried to
Right.
send both members on the field, and I had to send them
Oh,
back a couple times. So I thought it was kind of funny. But my question being is that one of the other big things in the blog post that Frank wrote about was that, how the volunteers are instructed is how it's going to be, and that's
yeah.
how it needs to be. I mean, did anybody kind of see that truly adhered that way? Because I'm going to be straight with you. At my event, I love my head ref and FTA. There's a couple times where teams are a little bit late or something like that, and they let them get it right, and teams are okay with it. And even though we ran, minus the FMS issue, which we'll talk
Right.
about later, everything else ran a couple minutes late, and it was totally fine.
So from my experience, and this is probably props to Tito from Michigan as well, but I have never seen a head ref actually leave the field to go out to teams to explain windows, and that happened to us this past weekend. We played a quarterfinal tiebreaker and we won. And there was only one more after us, and then we were the first semifinal match actually. So while that field timeout was going on, Tito actually came to our pit from the field and found my driver who had the bib on, and explained to him saying, hey, just so you know, you're the next match. If you want to call a timeout, you have to do it by this, and then yada yada yada, and then went back to the field. I have never seen a head ref do that. At least in my experience. So I thought that was really cool that he went over and beyond and did that, to ensure that everybody understood the position that he was in if he had to do it, and wanted to make sure that we understood what was going on as well. But Connor, I know you were drive coach and competed this past weekend. If you had any last thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, so I know after each alliance was complete during alliance selection, the head referee at Pease went up to each alliance, and I don't know what they were explaining. I know that there were some people that were at Pease that were on the volunteer crew in chat. So if you want to like quickly say something, that would be really awesome. Because I don't know what the head referee Amy was saying, but I know that she was explaining something which I have never seen happen during an alliance selection. Um, but I think that the transparency is starting to get there a little bit.
Yep, for sure. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump into topic number two, and we'll let Tyler get situated here, and then we're actually gonna bring him on to kind of highlight one of the main things that we saw this past weekend. But FMS issues that we've kind of seen over the past season. I know that we've talked about The scoring issues that we saw in week one when I was an FTA at Detroit, we talked about that in the week one recap where we had significant scoring issues. But two big ones that I really want to highlight that we've seen is the world high score that we saw at Israel Championships, and then obviously the double red card that we saw this past weekend at the Las Vegas Regional. So we'll highlight the world high score one first, but if you didn't get a chance at the Israel District Championship, there was, I believe, it was somewhere around 180. If correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody has that number offhand, but okay, I believe it was somewhere around 180, and in a qualification match, and they had broke the high score at that point. The world 181, Tyler, is that what you said? Oh, 191. Okay, so it was 191, and they had mentioned it as the world high score, and immediately one of the mentors from Orbit, I believe it was Corny, I think is his chief Delphi name, but had posted on there that yes, the score is technically what it is, but unfortunately the sensors were overcounting in that match, and it wouldn't have affected the outcome of the match because they won by such a large margin that they weren't going to go back and change it or replay it. So if we never get back
one
to
of the
that,
times it happens right here, by the way. It goes from 40 to like 58 or something like that.
okay, yeah, so it jumps like almost 18 points, and that kind of sucks, right? Because now we have an artificial score that teams are going to be trying to beat. I know a lot of teams at the Michigan State Championship are going to be trying to push that, as well as champs as well. But just overall thoughts on that, Connor, before we jump into the issue that we saw at Las Vegas this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of sucks that that score is the one that stands, but at the end of the day, like, even though that we hate to bash on the other teams, it's like we clearly knew
Right.
that red alliance, or that blue alliance won. Um, but as a statistics fan, it's still nice to see a nice number, a nice accurate number, be that world high score.
Why not just let the alliance win, but put the score as a null or something like that? Like just switch the score so it's not the world high score. You could modify that in FMS to do that.
So what would you say? Like, is just like the alliance wins like 1-0?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
just
Well, at
okay.
least a way that they still get the 4 RP, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the 1-0, when I was watching an event that only had 6 alliances, they just did 1-0 for the buys. So I mean that still counts, I assume. So that would work.
So I guess my thing is that, and I'm agreeing with you, but Tyler, to kind of counterpoint what you said, if they do, because it was a qual match, if they do a 1-0, it's going to kill whoever gets the. Well, I mean, it's going to whatever alliance it's on. It's going to kill whatever they score, and it's going to kill their match average, which is the first
that's fair
tiebreaker
for tiebreakers.
rankings.
Yeah.
So that would be the opposing
Well,
to that.
I guess my point was more being is after the event, could they modify that?
Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you're
Mhm.
saying. Yeah, because now, I mean, like I said, we have a bunch of teams trying to chase an artificial number that actually hadn't happened, and we don't know what it's eventually going to cap out at. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump to what we saw at the Las Vegas Regional, and we're going to go ahead and bring Tyler on to give us the facts of what actually happened, and then discuss us after that.
Sure. Well, I mean, everything I give is my opinion, I guess, but I was definitely right there with the action. Yeah. So if you didn't see, the Las Vegas Regional got a little crazy. I think some people blew it way out of proportion than what it was. But
Yeah.
kind of two things real quick. First off, you can't see it on here because this is the secondary score, but the preface, the Blue Lions did have a yellow card going into this match, which is very important for the situation that took place. So a few things to mention on this. At about 106, actually, I'll just skip to about where that is in this match. 106 on the bottom of your screen, you're going to see two robots collide, 4738 and 8717. Do one collision there, second collision, which ends up disabling the drivetrain of the robot, actually. So the robot is actually still connected. A lot of people, I think, thought that the robot DC'd. It's still connected, but the drive pod, essentially, the wires got ripped out. From what I heard from the team, and it caused the robot not to be able to drive. So what essentially happens is, let's go back because it's really interesting on here. You're going to see the head referee is going to wave a flag on the blue robot for that hit right there. You see that come up? I mean, that's the right call. The blue robot had an intake that was out, hit a red robot. That's at least a G204, right? For something like that happening. And,
For sure.
And both robots are moving forward. You're then going to see the other referee. I'm not going to use names on here. I know both these people, but she's going to come over and actually explain to the head ref that it should actually be both ways for the foul on this. So this is very important to talk about as we go through. So that it should be both robots, and actually it caused a disablement of 4738, which would cause a G205 red card on 8717 and the Red Alliance, right? So here's the interesting thing about stuff on this is that 4738 gets a yellow card for contact that was damaging on there, and then 8717 gets a red card for Red Alliance for a robot that has high speed and rams repeatedly and smashes a robot and causes damage. The way that the blue box is written on this is that a referee infers that the robot was deliberately trying to damage the opponent's robot, which then causes a red card to be triggered for something like this. Now, the really key thing is that this was ruled to be simultaneous, and because the way the rule is written is that if let's say if 4738 got the yellow card first, that would actually, whichever one got it first would supersede what it is. But because it happened at the same time, or the way the refs ruled it is that it happened at the same time, this causes a new interpretation of the rules for things. So headquarters was called, but somebody posted a good example. Q12 in the QA forum says, if alliances earn simultaneous red cards, they both lose the match and the outcome is a tie. Now, what's considered a tie? In FMS, the way that FMS interprets it now is that the score comes up. We're going to have to go ahead way on here. I don't have a time code for this, but the score comes up and FMS says, okay, both teams red card, both teams 0. Let's look at the first tiebreaker. And the way that it's, that we know tiebreakers is that it's based on penalties, right?
Right.
But in this situation, the alliances both lose. And so it should be a lose-lose versus like the standard tiebreaker procedure. But it's semifinal or it's quarterfinals, and FMS doesn't know how to interpret this.
Jeez.
So I'm going to see if I can. Here we go. I got it up here. So the score comes up, and cards are given. You'll see George Chen, who's the referee or the game announcer, gets to explain this on here. And watch this. Blue lines comes up.
Solid explanation, by the way, by him.
Yeah, so George did great for that. Got info from the head referee. But you'll see on here that it was determined that in FMS that blue should win, but that's not the case. It should be a tie. So, okay, sounds good. We re-announced that. We're going to replay the match. Mm-hmm. Match 2 comes, replay happens, and Red Alliance wins the match. We know that. We've been able to determine that. But the FMS score comes up, and it lists this same score again on here. FMS can't overwrite the tiebreaker of the tiebreaker because it's quarters and not, at least I'm going to infer this part, by the way, that it's quarters and not finals. So there's a weird part that goes on with this, right?
Well, right, because it's trying to advance that team.
Yes, that's the problem, is that it was trying to, the next match, it would not have the Red Alliance in as the advancing team. So HQ gets called again, different people in HQ that are handling FMS with the FTA. They try to fix it, can't do it, restart things, can't do it. And then it ends up being that HQ actually has to go into SQL and modify code for what this is.
Oh my God.
Which is why this delay took, this is why this delay happened this way for it. So, so in that time frame, we had some discussions like, hey, can we look at doing some awards maybe during this time, the fill time for it? Well, by the time we made that determination, that's going to be like, we didn't make the determination until, music was playing for 20, 25 minutes. So like, okay, maybe we should try to look at something else. Right. So by the time we did that, FMS, we couldn't really print stuff off of there where the awards are printed from right now. So show ready events. We're like, okay, can we do this? We get everything ready, and literally we get the awards get rolled out on the field. And the minute that happens, the system reboots and we're ready to go. So that was the Las Vegas regional and all the fun stuff that happened for this. So I don't know if it's happened before, Ark. I have no clue if this exact situation.
Well, I think that's my thing, right? Is that like, FMS was not prepared to handle this situation because it's obviously more than likely never happened before.
I'd
So,
imagine that if it did happen before, we would have heard about it in the thread on CD
right,
earlier.
for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's
Well, yeah,
incredible.
hats off to the event staff because Tyler, the little bit that I've talked to you and from what I've seen in CD, they handled it as like best as they possibly could have, right? And it sounded like the event was fairly understanding. And I got a kick one of the videos that were submitted to clips of the week when I think Tyler you might have put it in there, but it was when in the finals when the winning alliance was getting announced and the score got
Yeah.
delayed or something. They were like, "Oh no, not again!" And then
Well,
the score gets
George said
posted.
scores coming up, stand by, and he meant like stand by momentarily. They're going to come up,
Right.
and all the kids thought that it
They're
meant
like,
like it's not going to come
"No!"
up for like 15 minutes. So, and then it came up right away. I was very excited. Yeah,
Oh,
you'll see that in
jeez.
clips of the week tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean, and obviously, like, not to hate on first, because I don't know that they could have like envisioned this happening. But I mean, I guess my one caveat is that if somebody's asking about it in the Q&A, like FMS should probably be prepared to handle
Yeah,
it.
maybe. It's one
But
of those. It's a going back and like this is a use case we didn't go through.
yeah, for sure.
Hopefully
But
it's fixed for the future. I mean,
right.
it sucked the not having, we played music for an hour, kids dance. I had to be the bad guy and tell people they couldn't throw the inflatable shark all over the stands, and then people didn't
Oh,
like that. But
big sad.
oh well. Other
Yeah,
than that,
exactly.
other than that, honestly, it's a great Las Vegas Regionals, a fantastic event. The crew there was amazing. I mentioned
Always
this
is.
before that both the head ref and the FTA I thought did a stellar job of not only that, but there were other circumstances where, we had issues with the robots. We could have closed the gates. We could have just ran the match, and they decided to take the time to make it right and get the teams operational. And that's exactly what should have been done.
Yeah, exactly. Prioritizing the team experience over a delay.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll just say too is that, in this long discussion we even had, I still have to kind of, truncate some things on what we're talking about and kind of simplify things we're talking about because I don't want to say the wrong thing, right? So
yeah, for sure.
So there are probably somebody who watched my come and be like, that's not exactly how it is. Well, okay, we're kind of trying to make this enough digestible for what it is.
Exactly.
As we go through. But yeah, great event. Crap happens, and we had some other red cards and other issues with other events too. It happens, guys, and I'm just happy that the crew overall took the time to make it right, even if it took longer.
For sure. Tauseef, anything else to add before we jump into our next topic?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, how old is the FMS, and is there any upgrades that it needs, especially when situations like these come up? Like, is there a chance, like, because there's been FMS issues before. Waco, week 1 had huge FMS issues. I'm like not exactly sure what the issues were, but the FTA was saying like he tried everything he could to fix it, but then awards didn't come out until like a week or two ago.
Yeah, I
For
remember hearing
Waco.
about that issue.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, like, does the FMS require an upgrade now?
Yeah, Connor, I know you wanted to say something. We'll jump to you really quick and then move on.
Yeah, I'll give you the short answer because I know we're starting to run late. The short answer is it's too old and it needs too many upgrades.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Alrighty, before we go ahead and jump into our next topic, we're going to go ahead and bring Tyler back on to talk about our wonderful friends at Striker and to start a giveaway from the Thrifty Bot for those who are watching live.
Yeah, so let's give a big shout out to first off the Thrifty Bot, who are giving away a $25 gift card. I'm going to throw the Ryan, the owner of Thrifty Bot, left this keyword open today, so I'm going to throw it for a spin a little bit. The keyword, hold on, I'm going to type in chat. I want one of the three of you to try to pronounce Ryan's last name.
It's Donio, isn't it?
Anybody else want to give it a shot?
Because I remember I pronounced it Dogganox on a stream last year and got ripped for it.
Well, let everybody else give it a shot.
I really wanted to say Donaru, but that's probably wrong.
How about you, Tauseef? Oh, you're muted though, so you don't get it. You don't get to say what it is. No, Nick, you are right. It is Donio. So
I remembered.
I was just seeing if anybody else would try to butcher the name really bad. But yeah, type Donio, type Donio in chat. What was your guess, Tauseef?
I was gonna say Dog Ox as well.
There we go. So I hope you see this at some point. So type Donio in chat. That's your opportunity to win a $25 gift card from the Thrifty Bot. By the way, just a heads up, I was a little bit late on sending out giveaways last week, just heading to Vegas and stuff. So those will get out soon. Thanks everybody for your patience with everything. And then also just want to give a big shout out once again to our friends at Stryker, who are celebrating 80 years now of making healthcare better. Check out what they got going on right now. They're still looking for some internships and co-ops as well too. So if you are interested in working for a great company that supports you being in first, of course, their co-op program in Kalamazoo, Michigan offers free housing as well too, and great pay, and a really state-of-the-art facility that you get to stop at occasionally too. So make sure you check that out if you're not working at that facility. I mean, they got like a built-in Starbucks, cafe, all this other stuff. Awesome workout room that I would probably never use, but cool stuff at the facility nonetheless. So make sure you check it out, careers.stryker.com. And of course, not just co-ops and interns, but leading medical manufacturer. If you're looking for a position as either an entry level or an experienced workers as well for a great career, go check them out. Thanks a lot, Stryker.
Yeah, just a quick note on that. Tyler and I got to visit their new building in 2020, and it's like Tyler said, built in Starbucks. I mean, it's borderline a Google building. There's the atmosphere in there's awesome. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I totally typoed his last name in the chat, but we're gonna leave it with what it was. I like it that the typo was in
That is
there.
funny.
Sorry, man. All right, keep going.
All righty. Sorry about that, Ryan. But let's go ahead and jump into our last topic. It's one that's been debated a little bit on CD, and I know that I've been very vocal about how I feel about this, but cargo threshold and how we're seeing it's not an uncommon thing at districts. It's not like it's the opposite side of the spectrum is obviously 2017 where nobody got the KPA. But I honestly personally think that it's a little too common, and I think that for the competitiveness of the game and for the high stakes of DCMPs and the championship, that it should be raised past 20, even if it's 25 or I think 30 is probably too much for the cargo threshold. But my opinion, just like they did in Stronghold, where they raised it with DCMP starting this weekend, I feel like we probably, if it's going to happen, we're going to hear about it tomorrow in an update. I'm not super confident about it because in 2016 they did leave the little slot in the game manual to leave it open about possibly increasing it. But I think increasing it would really take this game to the next level, and I'll be disappointed if I don't at least see it at the championship. I will want to know here though that if they do raise it for one DCMP, I feel like they probably should raise it for all of them. And somebody can fact check me on this, but I know they raised it for MSC in 2016. But I don't remember if they raised it for all of the events.
They didn't for New England. I know that.
Okay. Interesting. So, really, that's actually very interesting because I feel like if they're going to raise it for one district championship, they probably should raise it for all of them. But
which
that's
just
just my
kind of
opinion.
got
Connor, we'll go ahead and throw it to you.
Yeah, this has kind of got me thinking because like the Israel District Championship has already happened, so I feel like they would want to make it consistent all across the board.
Right.
So I really don't think that they're going to raise it this week. If they do, obviously it's going to be in the team update tomorrow. But I for sure hope they raise it for Houston. I think I want it to be 30, but I also don't think it's going to be 30. I think 25 is probably going to be that safe number. Now,
Yeah.
I know we're talking about strictly like the cargo ranking point, but I kind of want to throw into the mixture. What do you guys think about the hanging ranking point? Do you think that threshold's going to change?
Go ahead, Tauseef. We'll start with you.
The hanging, I don't think so, because to even get that ranking point, you still need 2 robots to climb. You need one on the traversal and one on the low rung at least. I think that's enough, in my opinion, for hanging. But for the cargo in itself, I feel like Quintet should increase to like 20 or 23, and then the regular without Quintet should increase to either 25 or 28.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic.
For champs or districts championships. Either or, I do agree should be increased, especially with this weekend's Texas. So we'll have powerhouse teams like 148, 118, 30-10, always scoring like over 30 in almost all qualifications and playoff matches. Increasing it would be nice, but there are some teams that are not able to reach that. and ranking points are important, especially for states and worlds.
For
So
sure.
so having it reachable is great, and not having it too high would, of course, not be fun for teams. So yeah, that's 28 is like my max in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
and just real quick, there is a new poll in chat, so make sure to take a look at that so we can get the community's opinion. But I do want to, and I'll lobby for the other side here because obviously there's also been the CD thread about the match schedule algorithm and it killing teams. But I think one thing that's really important that they did that I will give credit to First for on this game is that, and I'm going to use 27 for an example, but 27 could solo the cargo RP in Michigan with whether with the quintet or not, they can score 20 balls in a match by themselves. What I think is important though is that there's also an aspect of the game the aspect of the game that has an RP that they cannot get by themselves. So I think it provides a good balance between if you have a bad match schedule, you still can guarantee the RP by yourself with the cargo RP versus the hanger RP. I mean, you could end up on the transversal, you're still a point short. So I think that's an important aspect too that you can't just solo everything
yeah,
in that aspect. But Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Um, and just I also agree on what Tauseef what you were saying about the hanging ranking point as well. I personally don't think it's going to change all too much or really at all. Because yeah, it's still really hard for to get two robots on like consistently on each alliance to be able to do that
Exactly.
in the qualification rounds. But also like this is probably going to be the probably one of the strongest world championships that we'll see because we're not
Oh,
getting a whole lot
1000%.
we're not getting a whole lot of those second pick robots from regionals. Not to say that they don't
Yeah.
deserve a spot, but it's like that's the reality of the season.
Well, I mean, I'll
So
lobby that this is arguably going to be the strongest world championship that we're probably going
oh
to see. If
oh
they go
yeah,
back to two champs after this, this is
oh
the
yeah,
strongest world championship we're going to see for the next 25 years.
it's going to be nutty, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
be really fun.
But Tassif, any last things before we round out the show?
No, but I'm just gonna piggyback on what you just said. Having worlds is just we're gonna see more points on the board than we did in probably any other event, especially in uh, divisions and round robin and Einsteins. We're gonna have a ton of scores on the board, and I think even qualifications we might even get a world record,
Oh
knowing
yeah,
how many
100%.
high power teams are gonna be.
Yeah, and I
So
think just like looking back, the last time we had one championship was 2016 or
16.
15.
Yep,
Yeah, so
16.
looking at like just the community as a whole and um like design revolution maybe is the word I'll use to compared to where it's at now, like Swerve's a regular thing now. And Swerve
mhm.
was not a regular thing in
It,
2016. Like
it's night
the
and
design,
day.
it is completely different on how the community has trended. It obviously in the upward direction, just inefficiency of robots in that sense. But before we're going to wrap up the show, we'll go ahead and bring Tyler back on to draw for our giveaway from the Thrifty Bot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Once again, Donio, I made it so even if you spelled it correctly or incorrectly, it's for the drawing. So sorry about that. So the winner is going to be somebody who can't win, Connor.
Ah,
Man, what is it? That's
the
two shows in a
giveaway.
row now. So it's 8 in one last show. All right, we're going to re-roll.
That's fitting.
Lots of
That's
Rigby
25
notes,
bucks.
please.
If I
And
get this would be
the
funny.
winner is going to be SCRBLNRD3. Somebody pronounced that for me. So congratulations. And make sure you message first updates now, preferably on Discord. But either way, on Twitch if need be, with your email and name, so we can get that out to you. And thanks a lot for the Thrifty Bot for the awesome giveaway.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks everybody for sticking around and tuning in to FRC Roundup. Special thanks to all those who clicked the follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation. Your support really helps us to continue to make great content. Don't forget you can watch FRC Roundup archived at youtube.com/first updates now. And again, as it has been in the previous weeks, this will be uploaded tonight and watch live Monday after FRC recap during the competition season. Thank you, Tauseef, for coming on as our guest today. And on behalf of our producer, Tyler Olds, my co-host, Connor, and all of our fun correspondents, I'm Nick Jr., and thanks for watching, and good luck to all teams competing in Week 6. See you next week, same day, same time, where we take a look at what is going on each week on FRC Roundup. Bye, everybody.
Thanks to Stryker Careers for their support in this video. First alumni and mentors are making Stryker a top priority for their internships and careers. That's because Stryker knows that those in first are the leaders and innovators of tomorrow. If you want to help make the world a better place by creating life-saving medical devices and technology, get started at careers.stryker.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. And check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.